Right, so here's another question on trigonometry, and the question is if sine x, let me write that again, if sine x is equal to 3 by 5 and cos y is equal to minus 12 by 13, then what are the values of 1 sine x plus y and 2 sine 2x? Given that, and you're given that x and y, they both lie in the second quadrant. So that's the question we have. So let's start out by doing the most obvious thing. So let's solve part one, which is what's the value of sine x plus y? Well, what is sine x plus y? Well, sine x plus y is equal to sine x cos y plus cos x sine y. So far so good. This is just a simple expansion of this term. And if we look at the right hand side, then how many of these terms do we know? So we have been given values for sine x, so that's good. And we have been given values of cos y, so that's good. But we don't know what cos x is, so we have no idea what cos x is, and we don't know what sine y is. So these are the two terms we need to find out. So let's do that now. So let's start with cos x. So what is cos x equal to? Well, that's simple. Cos x is simply equal to under root 1 minus sine square x, which means that cos x is equal to 1 minus sine x was 3 by 5, so that's 3 by 5 whole square, which is equal to under root, let me write this on the next line, which is equal to under root 1 minus 9 by 25, which turns out to be under root 16 by 25, right? So you can check this calculation on your own, but this is what you will get. You will get under root 16 by 25, which could mean one of two things, right? Which could mean that, let me just scroll down a bit, which could mean that cos x is either equal to plus 4 by 5 or it's equal to minus 4 by 5. So under root of 16 by 25 is equal to plus minus 4 by 5, right? So we have these two options. We have two values for cos x, and only one of them makes sense to us, right? So let's see which one of them is the one that we need to pick. Well, we have been told, and remember this, that last fact that we were told, x and y lie in the second quadrant. So if this is our coordinate space, right? So this is our coordinate space. So this is quadrant number 1, and this is quadrant number 2, and this is the third quadrant, and this is the fourth quadrant. So we have been told that x and y, they both lie in the second quadrant, which is this one over here. I'm sorry. So that's this one over here. So x and y lie in the second quadrant. And what happens to the value of cos theta or cos x, let's say, I'll just stick with cos x, if cos x lies in the second quadrant? Well, cos x is less than 0 in the second quadrant, right? So uh, of these two values, plus 4 by 5 and minus 4 by 5, the only value that makes sense given that x is in the second quadrant is cos x is equal to minus 4 by 5. So we can go ahead and write cos x is equal to minus 4 by 5. This is the only value that makes sense given that x is in the second quadrant. So that's one, right? We still need to find the value for sine y, right? So let's do that down below. So what is sine y? So sine y is equal to under root 1 minus cos square y, which is equal to under root 1 minus 12 by 13 whole squared, which turns out to be under root 1 minus 144 by 169. You square a number, you always get a positive number. And this boils down to under root 25 by 169. So this is equal to either plus 5 by 13 or minus 5 by 13. So again, we have the same situation as before. We have two choices for what sine y could be. It could be either plus 5 by 13 or it could be minus 5 by 13. So which is it? Well, again, y lies in the second quadrant. So what happens to the value of sine in the second quadrant? Well, sine continues to be positive, right? So if y is in the second quadrant, then sine y is going to be a positive number. So the only value that makes sense is plus 5 by 13, right? So sine y has to be equal to plus 5 by 13 if y is in the second quadrant. So now we have all the numbers that we need to calculate sine x plus y, right? So let me just do that on a new screen. So what we had was sine x plus y is equal to sine x cos y plus cos x sine y, right? So sine x, it was equal to 3 by 5, and cos y was equal to, I think, minus 12 by 13, and cos x we agreed would be a negative number, and cos x was going to be equal to minus 4 by 5, and sine y was going to be a positive number, and that was going to be equal to 5 by 13. So you solve, you just do this calculation. Again, you can do this using a calculator or whatever, but this is what it comes down to. So this comes down to 65 and minus 36 minus 20. This is what it comes down to, which is equal to minus 56 by 65. So sine x plus y is equal to minus 56 by 65. What about sine 2x, which was the second question? What about sine 2x? Well, this is simpler. So this is simply 2 sine x cos x, right? And we know everything now. So this comes down to 2 times sine x was 3 by 5, and cos x is minus 4 by 5. And you do this, this is 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times minus 4 is minus 24, and so that's minus 24 by 25. So sine 2x is minus 24 by 25. So these are the answers to the two questions that we were asked, and it was very important in this question to realize the impact of the fact that x and y lie in the second quadrant. So that was a trick in the question, and if you got that, then you would get these values. So that was a question, and that's how it's done.